In this video, I'll share the framework I personally use at the start of each year to grow my business, increase my wealth, and just basically have a great year in general. I've used this framework to build, scale, and exit multiple companies, earning millions of dollars along the way, without sacrificing my health, time with my family, or many other things that matter much more than work. So just to be clear what this is an annual plan for entrepreneurs that leads to financial success, but also fun, family time, adventures, and things that are good for the soul. This is the 10-step process that I follow every January. If you don't write this one page before Christmas, January won't start well. The Reboot Guide is a one-page document that I write to myself before I sign off for Christmas, usually sort of mid-December. It's a letter that I write to my future self, and the purpose of the letter is simple: help me get clear quickly, reorientate me around what actually matters, make it easy for me to hit the ground running in January. I know from experience that if I don't do this, if I don't have a Reboot Guide, it takes me a little bit of time to get my head back in the game. The Reboot Guide accelerates that process. All I put in it is basically what's worked well last year, what didn't work well, what needs to change, what's the Q1 focus, and what's the January focus. Of course, I'll also layer in new ideas that you get from having time off. You'll often get your clearest insights when you're away from work. But honestly, the Reboot Guide does a lot of the heavy lifting for me. I make one every time I go on holiday. Whenever I'm going to be away from the business for a significant period of time, I always do that because I just know how much it helps me when I get back. You can't think clearly about your future if your environment is a mess. The very first thing I do when I return to work is make a clear environment. So that means my physical workspace and my digital workspace. I clear my desktop, my email, my inbox, unsubscribe from all the mailing lists that have crept in over the last year, close any open browser tabs, tidy up projects, messages, loose ends. I actually do this before I return to work, usually either before I leave work, or if I haven't had enough time to do that, I do it a few days before I come back, because I don't want to start a new year being hijacked by admin and energy draining tasks. You can't think clearly if your environment is cluttered, so open up all of that headspace by clearing your physical and your digital environment. Anything that you know you have to do that's hanging over you, that you haven't done, is leaking energy. You want to deal with that on day one. If there's something hanging over you, for example, a conversation you've been avoiding, a decision you've been procrastinating on, a thing that's been annoying you for a while, even just something small like a subscription that you should have cancelled by now that you haven't done yet. Basically anything that feels bad in your gut, big or small, you deal with that on day one when you return to work. It's a new day, so clear the emotional drags immediately. If you don't set boundaries around your personal life, work will consume everything. This is non-negotiable for me. At the start of any new year, I block out all of my personal time, and then work has to fit around that. So at the start of a new year, I get a big A1 calendar, and I immediately add all of my kids' school holidays to it. My rule is simple: when my kids are off school, I'm off work. That means for 13 weeks of the year, I'm not at work. I work for 9 months of the year, I don't work for 3 months of the year. As an entrepreneur, this is one of the best rules that I've ever put in place. So once I've got my kids' holidays on the calendar, I also add 2 trips with my wife on the calendar, 1 solo trip just for me. Solo travel is important. And I also add 1 trip away with my friends. And then I add anything else that I know it's coming up. If there's a cool event that I want to go to or whatever, I put those things on the calendar. So now the year has loads of cool stuff in it already. The year hasn't even begun, but there's all kinds of cool stuff on the calendar already. And the reason for that is I know if I don't block that time first, work will expand to fill that time. So these are red lines for me. Work must fit around life, not the other way around. I learned this the hard way. This one page keeps me on track all year. I make a simple one-page document with the following categories: health, strength and fitness, adventure, marriage, kids and family, personal, music, business, personal finance. So for each one of those categories, I write down no more than 3 goals. Sometimes it's not even really a goal, it's just a theme or a word. But writing them down really matters for me. It forces me to think, forces me to get clear, and then I print this off and I keep it as a physical page on my desk. I see it at the start of every day, and it quietly keeps me on track, and I need that, otherwise I know I'll drift off track. For my businesses, I like to have no more than 3 big goals per year. Then I break them down using what I call GOTs. So goals, the big outcomes; objectives, they're the milestones that guarantee the goal; and tasks, they're specific actions that achieve the objectives. So it's a 3-tier hierarchy, and I've just found that this works really well for me. And that's how I organize the tasks that I'm doing on a weekly, monthly, and a quarterly basis. What's the goal, the big goal I'm trying to achieve? What are the objectives that, if they become true, means I will achieve the goal? And then what are the tasks that need to be completed in order to achieve the objectives? So you kind of reverse engineering it, but I like the simplicity of it. GOT, super easy to remember, nice hierarchy, and I just have everything arranged around that. The tasks I'm going to be doing, workflows, trackers, all of that stuff. If it's not on the calendar with a deadline, it probably won't get done. I know that it'll drift, and it's so frustrating to have a to-do list that doesn't get done. So for me, tasks must move from my to-do list onto my calendar with an allocated time to finish it, so I know it'll get done. So my process is, number one, prioritize. Not all tasks matter equally. Some are more important than others. And then two, I either delegate that task to a team member, or if I have to do it myself, I schedule it and put it on my calendar. Because if it's not on somebody's calendar with a deadline, then it probably won't get done. For a small business, consistency beats intelligence almost every time. I see so many smart entrepreneurs who don't get the results that they want, and most of the time, it's just because they haven't unlocked consistency in one part of their business. Once you have a good plan, consistency becomes everything. Consistency is God. Worship consistency. Revere consistency. If you're trying to get a new business off the ground, to stray away from consistency is a sin. I'm not religious, but in business, consistent execution beats almost everything else. Consistency is a choice. Consistency is available to you. You just need to choose it. As long as you have an okay offer, just execute the boring fundamentals again and again and again and again, and you'll dominate almost any industry. Did your business plan fail, or did you just panic too early? After you've set your annual plan, don't seriously review anything until the end of March. And honestly, a lot of the time, wait until the end of June, it's even better. Don't spend your time over-optimizing, tweaking things too soon. A lot of the time in business, you just need to be consistent and let time pass. The highest value things in life happen away from work. Your health, time with your kids, the relationships in your life. Don't worship productivity. That leads to burnout and unhappiness. A business makes a fine servant and a terrible master. So work hard, stick to your annual plan. We know that that reflects your actual priorities. And when it's time to not work. Don't even think about work. Just focus on having a good life. Look at the sky, be with your kids, be outside in nature. And when you do come back to work, you'll be a much more effective entrepreneur. So there you go, that's my 10-step January framework. I hope it helps you. If you want more tips for entrepreneurs, more thinking like this, sign up for my email newsletter. The link for that is in the video description. And if you'd like me to personally coach you, head over to boldfreedom.com and you'll learn more about how we can work together there. I hope 2026 is an incredible year for you and your family, full of prosperity, good health, and great memories. If you'd like to learn the 3-step framework I personally use to grow a 7-figure online education business, watch this video. I draw it out for you on the iPad and walk you through the whole thing. I hope it helps.